December 6, 1837, 2 years into the game, and we have already got recognized as Great Qing. Not even 2 years into the game. Nice. Now, I've learned 2 ways that you can get recognized pretty quick as Great Qing. The first one I've learned from the many times I played as Great Qing. And the second one I learned from a Chinese video that I watched, but the video didn't include what happened before and during the diplomatic play, but only after the war has begun. So I thought I'd improve on that and make a newer guide here. Egalitarian Society, Great Qing, start game as China. Okay. Firstly, I will show you my starting moves as Great Qing. Those are the moves that I found to be the most optimal for me, but you don't have to follow it per se. Budget taxes. Medium level taxes, medium level government wages, but highest level military wages. Consumption taxes, services, liquor, let's see, porcelain and tea. Yeah, that's it. Technology-wise, I will start with colonization and then all the tier 1 production tax. Buildings. Firstly, switch logging camps from the production method simple forestry to sawmills. This is what I will do. And construction sectors in almost all of the big population states and also the states that doesn't have a construction speed debuff. I will put 2 construction sectors in Gansu, Ningxia, Xi'an, Shanxi, and a bunch of other places. Hold on. And also Sichuan, Yunnan, Shaozhou. Partly because we want to dig iron mines and coal mines later on, and also we will be building lots of stuff in these states. After construction sectors, we will line up the resources, iron mines. We'll queue 15 in Shanxi and 10 in Yunnan. 4 in Shaozhou and 2 in southern Manchuria. Okay. And then it's the universities. I will build a university in every big population state and also Qinghai. There will be misclicks here and there, but it doesn't really matter because I will eventually want a lot more universities than I have right now. So, yep. I will try to pass no social security laws first. After passing no social security, I will try to invite the armed forces and rural folk into the government and try to pass professional army. These are my starting steps so far for Great Qing. Let's save a file. Later we can read from the save. Now the first method I figured out after playing for a pretty long time. We will declare war on Portugal and try to get the treaty port. But before that, Tibet. Rebellious, okay? I'm gonna release you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. And then Macau. Interaction. Take treaty port Macau. Because Great Britain have a defensive pact with Portugal, so UK will join Portugal's wars. Add goal. Not only Guangdong treaty port, also Portuguese war reps, force recognition, and also war reparations. Since we declare war, we will mobilize all generals and also activate some conscripts. 200. Should be enough. We will want all of the bigger generals to defend on the front line. Defend, no attacking, because we will certainly lose if we attack. I will leave 2 generals because we want these 2 generals to invade the other places, the colonies that Portugal and Great Britain have. The 2 generals are Qishan, Boerjing, and also Yunfeige, these 2. Try to improve relations with Russia and damage relations with Joseon and Tibet. Because I will eventually annex Tibet later on, you don't have to do this, but I will, yeah. But I will because I will be annexing Tibet later on. We must do something, of course. End opium immediately, of course. Pay attention to the frontline advantages that you have. I would think that if the frontline advantage is smaller than 20 green, then I will consider activating more conscripts to fill up the front lines so as to intimidate Great Britain and Portugal from attacking. We will not do the attacks ourselves, but we must have a strong enough army standing on the front line menacingly so that they will not attack us. Okay, war with Portugal has broken out. Firstly, naval invasions. What I will do is that first I will try to naval invade a place in Portugal, Portuguese colonies, and then another place in one of the British colonies. if you see that they will be taking more generals to the front line, then I would strongly suggest activating more conscripts to fill the front line. Pay attention to the bottom right to see if you have a successful naval invasion in their colonies. Okay, nice. You have 2 successful naval invasions. Very good. Send them back to where they are in China, and then I will try the naval invasion again, but on bigger colonies this time. Yunfeige and Qishanbojin. These 2. I don't feel safe. I'm gonna activate 50 more. Now all we have to do is just naval invade till no end, and then... right. It is also suggested to boost armed forces because we will need them later on to pass, first one, professional army, and also secondly, we want their support to pass colonial exploitation. Yeah, army will support this law. Successful naval invasion in northern Angola and also British Guyana. Now you will see that Portuguese war support will be draining quicker than ours, which is a good thing because as Portuguese war support reaches 0, we will execute 2 naval invasions to their mainland, one of which will be intercepted and the other one will land and also take their capital, making their war support drain very quickly and us winning the war. Pay attention if Portugal or Great Britain will be sending more generals and people to defend the front line. No social security passed. Now we will invite the army and rural folks into the government. Then we will try to pass from peasant levies to professional army. Now, because army have their patriotic fever activated, we will have a better advantage on the front line, which is nice. Nothing particularly interesting will happen, I think, until Portugal war support reaches around 15 or 10. If that does happen, we will send 2 simultaneous naval invasions to Portuguese mainland, to their capital, Extremadura, and then one of the naval invasions will land and take their capital, forcing them out of the war after like 8 weeks. For now, just keep invading British and Portuguese overseas colonies. What I will do is build universities simultaneously with the iron mines, and also, right. I will build in Ningxia, but Gansu is also a pretty good choice, I think. Yeah. We will send the final naval invasion to the Portuguese mainland after they have both arrived in China. Okay. Both of them to Extremadura, as I said. Qishanbojin and also Yunfeige. Alright. Now the war support will be reaching like 0 pretty quick, but because their capital is currently not yet under our control, their war support will not reach below 0. That is why we need to invade Portuguese mainland to cripple them. Now, one of the naval invasions have been successful, and the other one got intercepted by Portugal. We will lose this battle on the sea, so that is why we must have 2 naval invasions. Just an FYI, why I activated so many conscripts after the war began is because, it looks fine currently, but there will be a case in which the enemy will have more divisions on the front line and they will feel confident enough to attack. We don't want them to attack. We want to have a seemingly large army standing on the front lines to intimidate them from ever attacking. Even though our army is trash, the quality difference will be made up by the numbers. Now, just wait for Portugal to capitulate. Or if we can just... Or we can just ask them here. Propose peace deal. Nice. December 6, 1837. 2 years into the game and we have already got recognized as Great Qing. Not even 2 years into the game. Nice. Now, if you don't like releasing Tibet, you can also try another method in which you don't have to release Tibet and you get to keep them as their puppet. The second method requires you to choose a state in northern India, a princely state. A random state will do fine. Interactions, liberate subject, confirm. Military, mobilize all generals, leave out 2 that will do the naval invasions and assign the others to defend, have a large army so that Britain will not attack you on this front line. Activate conscripts. I think around 100 should be fine. Okay. Great Britain will come in at war goal. War reparations. British EIC. Force recognize army demand. Alright. Activate the little war. 150. Okay. Opium prices. We have to do something. Of course, we'll ban opium right now. Great Britain will try to take one of the treaty ports, but because they have a front line, they will not establish a new front line to try to get to us. Maybe they have others coming to us. We will try to defend the front line, but if Great Britain is too strong and they decided to attack anyway, then we will have to switch to attack mode and go aggressively to prevent them from taking more territories into our mainland. Yep, I think that's the better method to do it. Activate more conscripts because they have a much larger amount of people on the front line. Pay attention to the number of generals that they have here. So to opium smugglers. This time we will try to defend and prevent the enemies from attacking, but I don't think that's working. So after this attack from them, we will go on the offensive. Yeah, I forgot. We must take these two guys out for naval invasions. Since they will be attacking us anyway, I think it's better that we go on the offensive and take them on the battlefields. Now, British Guyana and also because Britain doesn't have either our treaty port or our capital, our war support will not go below 0. But because we have some of their colonies and we don't have like states in the war goal, their war support will eventually go below 0 and we will win. No social security. Nice. Okay. We will invite the armed forces and rural folks in and try to pass the law from peasant levies to professional army. The EIC will eventually go into Tibetan territory a little bit, but it's okay because it's not our territory. Now on, there isn't really that many interesting things to see besides naval invasions again and again and again. Because we have a front line with the AI is much less likely to conduct a naval invasion. Since Great Britain doesn't have either Suzhou or Beijing, our war support will not be able to go below 0, and their war support will eventually go below 0 and they will capitulate. Yep. Yep. Now Great Britain war support will go below 0 and they will eventually reach -100 and they will capitulate. As I said, I learned this method from another guy on YouTube. And he showed the process. In the process, the Great Qing's war support never reached below 0 because Great Britain cannot reach Suzhou or Beijing from this front line alone. If you conscript enough soldiers, then they will never be able to reach Beijing and Suzhou. Now all we have to do is wait for Great Britain's war support to reach -100 and we can take all of these war goals together. Or if you're in a hurry, you can just take these 3 and forgot Awad. Up to you. Great Britain war support, -100. Awad, recognized Great Qing, British war reps. Nice. This method is a bit slower because you can see we only get recognition in September 30th, 1838. But it is also a method. And this method doesn't require you to release Tibet, allowing you to annex them later on with a pretty low infamy. If you release Tibet and then try to annex Tibet later on after the 12-month truce, then Tibet will generate approximately 25 infamy, and this may cause your infamy to reach over 25 if you don't manage it well. So yeah, that's another factor to consider.